Yet another book has come out in regard to the 2024 presidential race and former President Barack Obama's role within it, especially on the Democratic side. Now, according to Fight, inside the wildest battle for the White House, Obama really did not want Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee after former President Joe Biden dropped out. Take a look.
He didn't think that she could win. And we spoke to people very, very close to him who say this, and there were major concerns. So I think they were doing a quiet sort of lobbying effort to see, what the mood was and whether there was enough support for it. Certainly, I think Barack Obama was hearing from some donors. I know Nancy Pelosi was too, that Kamala Harris couldn't win. They kept doing this up until the final minutes of, right after Joe Biden endorsed Kamala Harris. I think they were still calling around. It's why I think Barack Obama kept his powder dry for several days. He wanted to see how all of this would play out, but he had major concerns.
What were the concerns? What were the nature of the concerns?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that she just wouldn't be able to win. I think that they all saw her as a weaker vice president. I don't think that they felt like Joe Biden had really championed her enough, that she was coming in kind of ill prepared to run as president. Certainly, they look back at her last campaign, I'm sure.
I mean, look, Obama was right. I mean, Obama wasn't wrong. He was right. And look, the whole thing was a mess.
Boy. So once again, we got to continue our coverage of the drama that is happening in the Democrat Party, because Democrat operatives have decided to stab the Democrats in the back to make a quick buck by selling books admitting that the so-called right-wing conspiracy theories were in fact true about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, everything that people could clearly see, right? People with two eyes and some common sense could see about what was going on within the Democrat Party during the last months in which Joe Biden was in office and Kamala Harris was running for president, okay? Which is that Kamala Harris is somebody that Democrats didn't want, right? They reluctantly made her the nominee, okay, because of the fact that Joe Biden was mentally declining, and they lied to the world about it. Everybody knew that that was happening. And like, again, people with common sense and two eyes could see that, hey, this is what's going on, okay? However, Democrats, because they denied it, that created the opportunity for the operatives, the same people who lied to the American people, to now, again, try to get rich off of telling the American people that, yes, the Democrats were lying and that Joe Biden is mentally deteriorating and that Kamala Harris, we didn't really want her, right? I mean, again, all the things that were very obvious from the get-go, okay? So, the calculators on the View, individuals who believe the Democrats and their propaganda about Joe Biden, they are now coping and seething over the fact that the Democrat operatives are stabbing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the back, which, again, says a whole lot about the Democrat Party, right? I mean, these people are the most narcissistic, power-hungry people that I've ever seen, right? They will stab each other in the back just to get ahead, right? It's pretty fascinating stuff to witness. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
The 2024 presidential campaign was even more of a mess for Democrats than we even saw. According to several new books about the last few months of the election, they're writing books about it now. In one book, Biden advisor Ron Klain claimed there was a lot of concern that Biden couldn't keep up with the debate prep and he would fall asleep by the pool.
Me too.
Me too. Another book claims President Obama didn't want VP Harris to take Biden's place. His choice was Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, these are books that people are writing, so we have to take a lot of this, I think, with a bit of a grain of salt.
Wow. Listen to this quote. The same people that believe the suckers and losers thing, right? That believe every book that comes out about the Trump administration and what was said or what was done behind the scenes, they believe all the gossip and the rumors. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to a book about the Democrats and what went on behind the scenes, things that people observed, right? Like, we all saw it, okay? Democrats just lied about it. And Joy Behar is like, oh, can we really believe all this, right? We don't know if this is really true or not. Of course it's true. Right? We saw it. Okay. So this is cope, right? 100% cope, because they don't like to talk about negative stories dealing with the Democrats, right? They just want to sweep that under the rug. Okay, let's just sweep under the rug the fact that Democrats lied to American people about the sitting president and his mental condition, right? Like, I mean, it's really fascinating to watch these hens defend the Democrats.
I mean, if any of this is true, what can Democrats do about it now? I mean, it seems to me this ship has sailed. What's the point?
I'd rather read a book about what Trump did to us when he was president and what he's doing to us now.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in that. I'm not interested in looking back.
And
I mean, we're in a
believe,
constitutional
do we
crisis
really
right now.
believe that Trump is not falling asleep in the chair at Mar-a-Lago?
I respect
I
that.
actually wish he did fall
There were
asleep.
more books about Trump than I feel like anyone ever needed to
You
read.
wrote one.
I did.
You did.
We're in a moment where a lot of people are scared. They're nervous. They're worried that we're seeing America fundamentally changed. And a reason for that, not just a little asterisk, is that Joe Biden did not win, did not step aside in time to allow someone else to win.
Right.
And I do think it is a story that warrants some reflection, because even beyond the electoral consequences of Trump winning and what we're going to experience the next 4 years, I think there's also what I'm struck by, and I think highly of Biden. People always think I'm like so critical just because I think he needed to step aside and give someone else a chance. He does start to come off, the more we're learning, like I alone can fix it. It almost comes off Trumpian.
And it was late also.
Well,
He
but
was
he should
late.
have done it sooner.
Right,
If
right.
he had after the debate, that would have given someone enough runway to actually run a winning campaign.
Well, I would say the learning lesson here is listen to the voters, because one thing that really pissed me off as an independent, and I was one of the people that sat here and said after seeing President Biden, I voted for Biden. I really like Biden. I actually have been happy with him, and I would have voted for him if he continued to run. But I did look at him and think, I think maybe you do need to step aside, and now the rumors that we're hearing starting to make sense. And what happened is everyone said, you're disloyal if you say that, shut up and fall in line. And that's why people want to be independents these days, because partisan politics, they lie. It was the Democratic Party that made that choice that said, you're betraying him if you call it like you see it. And the point here is he wasn't necessarily fit to run for another 4 years.
Okay, look.
You know what's sad about this? What's sad about this is that, again, Sarah Hayes pretends to be an enlightened centrist, and I absolutely loathe fake enlightened centrist, right? Because I don't think an enlightened centrist can reasonably say that, well, I knew that Biden was mentally deteriorating. I knew that the Democrat Party was lying to me about it. I knew I was being gaslit, but I'm going to vote for him anyways. Like what type of sense that make? It's the same issue I have with Stephen A. Smith, right? Like, he talks about how bad the Democrats are, just how terrible they are, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna vote for them anyways. It's like, okay, well, you're not an enlightened centrist, right? You're a Democrat. That's what you are. You're a vote blue no matter who person, okay? That's what you are, and just own up to it. But what she said was correct in the sense that what Sonny Holston and Joy Behar don't understand, right? The overt partisans, okay? The open partisans. Democrats have a credibility problem. Democrats are never really going to be a part of a serious conversation in politics in this country again until they gain their credibility back. That's what they don't understand. Joy Behar asked the question, well, why does it matter, right? Why does it matter? It matters because Democrats need to admit basic truths about reality, right? In order for people to take them seriously again as a party. The reason why their approval rating is at 21% is because they can't even acknowledge basic biological facts about reality. When it comes to biological boys versus girls in sports, they can't acknowledge the basic realities of that. So if they will lie to me about that, what else would they lie to me about? Well, we know. They lied about Joe Biden. They lied about inflation. They lied about the border. They lied about crime. They lied to us about Ukraine, right? Like almost every topic you can think of, these people have lied. They have lied. Proven lies. And if you can't acknowledge that you lied about all these things, then how do you have credibility going into the future? You don't. You don't. And that's what these people don't understand. These people have zero credibility. The Democrats have a credibility problem. The first step in regards to restoring your credibility is acknowledging we lied. We lied. We lied because we really wanted to beat Trump, right? I mean, they can make something up, right? But at least say that you lied. And then you start coming out here and acknowledging basic truths, right? Like, for example, that it's not fair for biological boys to compete against girls in sports, right? Start there, right? Start there. Get that one correct. And people say, okay, all right, you're not lying to me about just very basic things that everybody knows, right? Okay, good. Now we can slowly build up and we can start having other conversations, right? Now it's going to take a long time for them to actually have any credibility when it comes to any complex or nuanced conversation, like the economy, for example, right? Why do I believe what these people say on the economy? They lied to me for the past 4 years. We've been in a recession. When the economy went into a recession, okay? It went into a recession by definition under Joe Biden. They said, no, it's not a recession. After telling us that inflation was transitory. The fact of the reality is we have been in a private sector recession basically damn near the whole time Biden was in office, and the media lied. I did video after video after video on mass layoffs happening in the private sector, but these fake job reports kept coming out because Biden was pumping the economy with government money and these fake DEI government jobs. And the media and the Democrats came out here and said the economy is amazing, right? Biden's economy is amazing until Trump got in office, and then all of a sudden Biden's economy is terrible, right? Inflation's out of control. Amazing how that works. I just find it funny how people now all of a sudden believing the media when it comes to the economy and the Democrats, even though they lied for 4 years straight about everything. You don't think they're lying right now, right? Of course they're lying. Of course. So again, my point is that Democrats have a credibility problem, and the economy is going to get better. And when the economy gets better, they're going to be proven wrong once again. They will lose more credibility, but they have to regain credibility if they want any chance of competing, right? And gaining back credibility starts with acknowledging truths, acknowledging just basic truths. So yes, it is an important conversation for Democrats to have, for liberals to have, about the Democrats lying to the American people, to the world, about the mental condition of the President of the United States. That is a big deal. That's not just something that you sweep on the rug and say, let's move on. How can I trust a party that does that? Right? Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you're lying to the base. Not to mention, they didn't have any elections. They finagled the primary that Joe Biden won, right? And then they went and finagled their primary again by having Joe Biden drop out unwillingly and then replacing him with Kamala Harris, who didn't get any votes. So again, you know, they just don't have any credibility on any issue whatsoever. It doesn't matter what it is, political violence. It doesn't matter. They can't lecture anybody on anything.
I know Ron Klain. I was texting with him yesterday. He's one of the longest advisors and very, very close to Biden. So this is probably very painful to them both.
So why say it?
Usually, because
they,
you know what? Because
He's
folks
saying that
get
the
caught
framing
up
is wrong.
talking about postmortems of campaigns
just
and
wanna
talking
sell
to
books.
reporters who are their friends. And usually I like these books. Usually I like the campaign gossip of primary colors after Clinton or after
primary
Obama or game change after McCain. But these are not normal times, so I'm just not interested in palace gossip from a year and a half ago, because I'm more interested about the children who are losing food because this government is cutting off the program, and the federal workers who are losing their jobs. And I'm interested about the deportation people who have no due process. And I'm, interested in the fact that we are at war with trade war with the rest of the world and threatening allies like Panama and
Some
Greenland.
of us warned that all of this specifically was coming. There were people beating the drum, explaining explicitly what a second Trump term would be.
Everyone.
You're saying it, but the Democrats could not put up something formidable enough to beat it.
Two things can be true at once. You can despise Trump and everything the Republicans stand for and still be able to see straight about what happened here. And denying it and telling people you're not seeing what you're seeing is never going to win voters.
I bet you every single person that voted for Kamala Harris wishes that Kamala Harris won right now. I bet you that. Yeah.
Again, it's so hilarious. Listen to these people. They bitch about Trump all day, but what solutions are they presenting? Biden had 4 years to get inflation under control. Biden had 4 years to do all the things that Democrats claimed they were going to do, and they didn't do it. Right? They didn't do it. They made things worse. That's why he's not in office. Right? That's why she lost, because they made things worse. Okay? So I'm trying to figure out, what solutions do Democrats have? What credibility do they have to come to the table with any type of solutions if they have solutions? They don't have solutions, but if they had solutions, they don't have credibility. So if they had solutions, I wouldn't believe they work, right? I wouldn't trust Democrats to actually, execute and to make it work, right? I wouldn't trust Democrats to get a good outcome, right? Again, we've seen what the Democrats do. All the Democrats do is make fake jobs, right? And more inflation. That's all they do, right? And let illegals into the country. That's what they do. They want cheap, illegal labor, right? And they want to hyperinflate our currency so that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And then they tell the poor, you're racist and you're bigots if you complain about it, right? That's what they do. That's what they did for the last 4 years straight, right? 4 years straight. Even the liberal operatives know that Kamala Harris and her stupid plans would not have achieved anything. In fact, listen to Ezra Klain, who is a Democrat Party operative. He's getting backlash from the left because he's telling the truth, right? Which is something that Democrats don't like. They don't like reality. Oh my God, reality, right? He gives a reality check to the Democrats that, hey, your ideas don't get things done.
You mentioned some of the critique from the left. I'm sure you've read all of it, or read most of it. I'm sure you've talked about the Zephyr Teachout review of abundance. I wanted to get your reaction to one part of that because I think it summarizes a lot of the criticism on the left. I mean, you mentioned the Bernie side. There's also a Warren-esque critique as well. And she writes, I still can't tell after reading Abundance whether Klain and Thompson are seeking something fairly small bore and correct, we need zoning reform, or non-trivial and deeply regressive, we need deregulation, or whether there is room within Abundance for anti-monopoly politics and a more full-throated unleashing of American potential. Matt Brunig has a similar critique. He says it would be a huge mistake to sideline whatever focus there is on welfare state expansion and economic egalitarianism in favor of a focus on administrative burdens in construction. It's not a book about like monopolistic power practices and corporate concentration, so I get that. I guess to the question that Teachout asked, is there room in Abundance for a critique of concentrated economic power and anti-monopoly politics and all that?
I'm trying to think about the nicest way to say this. My friends in the whole problem is oligarchy part of the party, and I believe a good part of our problems are oligarchy. But there are certain kinds of problems they're then willing to see and certain kinds they're not as willing to see. Mm-hmm. So in housing, I find a lot of them get obsessed with this idea that private investors are buying up a bunch of rental housing. And this is an extremely small part of the market right now and is just not the main problem in housing. But because it is the villain they are comfortable having, it is where they want to put their focus. Kamala Harris, I was very excited when she brought out her big plan to build 3 million units of housing, but her plan never would have achieved anything like it. It did have a big thing about trying to do something about this private investor buying up housing issue, though. So you can really get, I think, taken off the track. A thing I found like really interesting in Zephyr's review was that, is it something good and small like zoning reform? And like, try doing zoning reform if you think it's small, right? Or something bad like deregulation. Okay, interesting, right?
Yeah.
Deregulation is a word that I think shuts liberals down a bit. And it shouldn't. A lot of what we're pointing out in the book is that the player that is often most regulated is not the market, it's the government itself. If you want to understand why the government can't build public housing effectively, I mean, in many ways, the federal government building public housing is now functionally illegal. It's been regulated out of possibility. If you want to know why we didn't build California high-speed rail, if you want to know why it's so expensive to build affordable housing in a lot of liberal jurisdictions when you trigger public money, it is because of the regulations we put on government.
Yeah, so again, Kamala Harris's big housing plan was not going to achieve anything because Democrats regulate themselves out of effectiveness, right? That is what they do, right? They're incompetent, okay? So imagine Kamala Harris giving people $25,000 to buy a house and no houses are being built, okay? Inflation is still creeping up. Interest rates are still high. She would have drove the price of housing through the roof. Okay, I mean, you talk about people can't afford a home now. Under Kamala Harris, you're gonna lose all hope, right? People are gonna have to get those tiny homes, right? They're gonna have to be ordering homes off Amazon. Okay, that's the only type of home that little 25,000 gonna be able to buy, right? That's the type of reality that people would have been living in under Democrat policies. I'm telling you. But on the other hand, what President Trump is doing is that the actual cost of capital, mortgage rates, like, you know, money people need to actually buy homes, the cost of that is going down, right? If that goes down, then more people are going to be willing to sell their homes because then they can refinance at a cheaper price to go buy another home, right? If they want to, which hopefully should help sellers be willing to put their homes on the market and to free up homes for buyers, right? Which hopefully will bring down prices, okay? Or at least allow people to get better access to capital to buy a home if prices stay stable. But regardless, again, that's much better than what would have happened under Kamala Harris, right? And that's already happening under President Trump. And that's what people don't understand. That's what they don't understand. They're boohoo whining and crying about the rich. About the rich. Okay, that's what they're crying about. They're crying over the rich. While Main Street is about to win, right? This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And these are the people that told you, oh, we're against the rich, right? Oh, we're against the rich. Why are these people crying so much about the stock market? If you're against the rich, right? They're showing their true colors. They're showing you why they love inflation, because it helps the rich. And that's what they would have gotten under Kamala Harris. And it would have made the lives of the middle class a lot worse. Okay, we experienced 4 years of it. So I'm just saying, they really think that complaining about Trump for 4 years is going to revive their party. It's not going to. I'm telling you, the economy is going to get better. The Democrats are going to have to actually, come to the table with solutions. But again, they need credibility first, right? Before they can do that. Okay, credibility starts with acknowledging reality, which is something they still don't want to do. So I'm just saying, this is like this whole, let's just talk about Trump thing. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I bet you there are a lot of people that voted for Trump that wish the Kamala
and a lot of
was in the
people
White
who
House.
didn't vote who are probably regretting it now. And like I always said, I would prefer Joe Biden in a coma over Trump, and I maintain that.
We'll be right back.
Wow. Wow. Again, a lot of cope, right? A lot of Trump derangement. They really believe that just, hey, let's just talk about Trump. Let's not focus on what happened with the Democrats and the fact that, again, they lied about everything to people, literally everything. Let's not worry about that, right? They think that that's a winning formula for them, and I'm telling you, it's not. People are not going to forget how much the Democrats gaslit this country for 4 years straight. No, people are not going to forget. They're not going to. So again, if this is the game they want to play, I don't think it's going to work. I think the Democrats have to do some serious self-reflection. But again, they hate to do that, right? They don't really want to do that. They don't want to acknowledge that they have problems. No, it's not the Democrats. It's Trump. Everything is Trump's fault. The people that like Trump are just racist bigots and they're ignorant. We're right about everything, okay? And as long as they have that mentality, I just don't think that anything is going to change for them. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.